I'll start with you, Guneet. Seen you since your wedding, which was about a year ago, and I know you probably haven't seen too many people because you've been on a whirlwind sort of tour, and it's been a wonderful last 1 year for you. And I have to tell you that, your win, in very, very sort of mystical ways, feels very personal. It feels like it belongs to all of us. Any artist, anyone from the industry, anyone who's remotely ever dreamt of having a career in the arts, it feels like ye to hamara hai. And I remember at the end of the Oscars, you put out a little video which you shot there, and you said that for all the women, the future is audacious, the future is us, the future is here. Mujhe batao, tell me more about this, because there are so many young women sitting here, and I think it'll be wonderful to hear this from you. What were you feeling, and what does it mean for you?
I think coming into the industry, coming into the film industry, the biggest honor in our industry is the Academy Awards, the Oscars. तो सपना तो हम सब देखते हैं. I think मैं रोज़ सुबह उठकर बोलती थी कि ऑस्कर तो जीतना है. And फिल्में तो हम बना रहे हैं, but ऑस्कर तो जीतना है, ऑस्कर तो घर लेकर आना है. And I've had 3 films that have been nominated. 2 of them have won. Period End of Sentence, जिसमें मैं executive producer थी, and Elephant Whispers. And the whole idea of this is to tell you that if I can do it, if it's possible for me, literally anyone can do it. It's intention, it's honesty, and it's everyday work. And there is no shortcut to that. I come from a very, very humble family, and I'm a producer. And हमारी इंडस्ट्री में ऐसे प्रोड्यूसर बनने के लिए या तो यू आर born in the family,
बहुत सारे पैसे चाहिए होते हैं,
या आपको मतलब डायमंड्स या कंस्ट्रक्शन. मतलब मैं बहुत हम्बल फैमिली से आती हूँ, मैं लोअर मिडिल क्लास फैमिली से आती हूँ. एंड कहीं ना कहीं सब कुछ खुद सीखा है, खुद किया है. एंड आई प्रोड्यूस्ड माई फर्स्ट फिल्म व्हेन आई वाज 21. I produced Gangs of Wasseypur when I was 26.
Unbelievable.
Lunchbox when I was 29, took it around the world. And it's been, 35 films down, 9 films in Cannes, 16 films at Toronto Film Festival, constantly putting our stories, our country, our language on the map for people to experience, and all of it to just tell you that if I can, so can you. Because, each one of us has the power within to open those doors, to smash open those doors, which we see, which we think are very high. They're not. Everything is accessible, it's doable, and I'm a testimony of that.
How wonderful. I feel the way you sort of celebrate and recognize, I feel it's so wonderful. I think once you came back from the Oscar and you went about sort of, I remember seeing a picture of yours outside the Golden Temple, and you went back home. It literally felt, I felt that celebration felt so real and palpable. And आपके through, हम उसे celebrate कर रहे थे. So thank you for, I feel, sharing your dreams and also letting us be a part of it via, of course, the internet and the social media.
I actually think the joy I felt by seeing the joy in the eyes of my people back home. I came back after 4 days, and then of course, first thing I had to take it to Darbar Sahib and in Amritsar. And the joy and the pride I actually felt after 5 days. It hit me. I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. Because it's because of my country people looking at me with those eyes. I was just like, it's beautiful. You're holding a trophy, and that's amazing. But there are many winners that night, and you're in America. But when you come back to India, from the airport onwards, the celebrations, the motivation, I felt like a winner when I was back.
Wow,
Yeah.
so lovely. Talking about starting early, Lara here, brought glory to our country very, very early. And Lara, so the kids at IIMUN sent me a resume of yours, and it would have taken a day to finish reading. And I said, hey, there is so much this wonderful woman here has achieved, from being a Miss Universe to a UN Goodwill Ambassador to an actor, producer, entrepreneur, someone who's promoting social advocacy, and now a mother to a 11-year-old, right? And because somewhere I'm a parent now, my question to you is, you do so many things. What in your head is your primary sort of identity or focus? And then how do you manage to do everything around it? Like how do you think this through?
Thank you, Nakul. I'm really going to very, very quickly say a big thank you to IIMUN. This is my second conclave with them. और हमें बहुत कम मौके मिलते हैं हमारे देश के युवाओं के साथ कुछ वक्त बिताने के लिए एंड आई कैन नॉट टेल यू हाउ इम्प्रेस्ड एंड डिलाइटेड आई एम कि आप सब यहाँ हैं इतनी भीड़ है यहाँ पे आप हमें मतलब उत्साह रहे हो यू आर विद अस थैंक यू सो मच फॉर बीइंग हियर थैंक यू फॉर हैविंग मी एंड आई ऑल्सो अपोलोजाइज टू आवर अदर वेरी एस्टीम्ड गेस्ट पिरामिल जी the Chief of Staffs, Air Vice Marshal, you're going to have to put up with us for a short while. I promise you we will make it as less painful and as quick as we can. Nakul, I think it's very important at every stage in life, you yourself need to identify with one thing. You can do 20 things, but you need to identify with one thing. For the last 11 years, I identify as Saira's mother. तो बाकी का कुछ आपने जो कह दिया Miss Universe, actor, producer, entrepreneur, UN Goodwill Ambassador, वो सब ठीक है. My main day job is that I'm a mother to an 11-year-old. That's my priority. Everything else works around that. But it's been an incredible journey. और हमारे यहाँ जितने सारे young wonderful starting off on their life young people are here. I just really want to tell you that the sky is the limit and anything is possible as long as you just commit to it and have the discipline to stick with it. So I think as a woman, for me, it's been very, very important to transition through every decade of my life. I started off as a model, as a Miss India, as a Miss Universe. I moved from there when I had the opportunity to be a UN Goodwill Ambassador for 14 years, to join the film industry and be an actor. Found that there were very few and far between opportunities for women, so decided to turn producer. Now have, for the last 5 years, also been an entrepreneur. And I genuinely feel like I'm just getting started. So I'm in a decade in my life where age is liberating. It's amazing. And I want to tell young people out there that it was amazing to be 16, 17, 20, 25, 30, but it's incredible to be in your 40s. The future is really bright.
Oh, wonderful. I think there's so much in common with what both of you said. And you talk about infinite possibilities and like really sort of maximizing your potential. And I think that like where you guys are today is a testament to how strongly you really, really believe in this. Pankhe ki zarurat hai kisi ko? I really thought this was to take care of our guests, but wanted to ask both of you. At the CinemaCon, Sony chief Tom Rothman said that streamers do not make movie stars, only global hits do, right? So Guneet, do you, as someone who has dabbled in both theatrical and streaming, firstly sort of agree with this, and do you think if Paglet and Kathal, both wonderful films, were actually theatricals first, would they have made any different sort of an impact? And Lara, you were one of the earlier adopters of OTT, and by now you've experimented with many different sort of genres of shows and streaming films. At this point of your career, what's more important? Like, how do you view cinema versus cinema and OTT? I wouldn't call it versus cinema and OTT. Yeah.
I think change is way of life, and change at every stage in technology, in viewing patterns needs to be embraced. And especially, I feel like, I actually thankfully started when we were shooting in film, and I saw the transition happen from film to digital, from DVD to streaming, and HD quality and high-end TVs, and at every stage it was said that, oh, now films are over, now this is the new world, how will we ever go from film to digital? And today we live in a new world order where our boundaries of the universe are softened because content unites. I truly believe that the streamers are bringing the country together. We are consuming more South films now. The COVID allowed us to consume more Korean content, Iranian content, Spanish stuff. A whole generation of our parents who actually have lapped up all the Korean shows subtitled and dubbed is because of the OTT. And literally our education for Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam films, Gujarati films has increased because of the OTTs. So I do think that they have merged the boundaries and it is a global platform. It's matter of breakouts. However, cinemas are never going to go out of fashion. Cinema is community viewing, and it will always be a large, beautiful community who would love to go to a show, and when the sound and the music and the picture and the crescendo builds up, it'll be that wow movement, and that is the power of cinema. It's never going to go out of fashion. We've seen smaller films work, we've seen bigger budget films work, we've seen superhero films work, be dubbed around in languages. But I strongly feel that the future is always about embracing the change and making the best out of it, learning with time, celebrating that now we are seeing films even on small screens. We can also have big screens. But this is how life is. And then you have to learn and step up to it. So I actually humbly disagree, and I think that OTT does make global stars. Case in point, Squid Games. Case in point, Parasite. I mean, yes, Parasite was also theatrical, but many of us consumed it on OTT.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. To you, Lara?
Yes, I think, Nakul, I agree with Guneet in a big way. We all know the song. It's an old song. Shayad is generation ko nahi pata hai, but the song, Video Killed the Radio Star, right? Yeah. And then it's just OTT and streaming platforms. I don't think have killed cinema, but I think we have evolved. And I think it was very important. We've evolved in the way that we consume content. And talking about big stars, I mean, you look at streaming platforms. Today you have Jaideep Ahlawat, Pankaj Tripathi, Nawazuddin Siddiqui. These are all actors that didn't just pop in onto the scene. They've always been there, but they never got their due because of this very formula-driven way of making cinema within the Indian cinema, Indian film industry. And because of the OTT platforms today, they're some of the biggest stars. And you have people who are wanting to see Pankaj Tripathi's movie before they want to see an A-list movie star's, film. And I think that is the power of streaming platforms today. Like you rightly said, I was one of the first female mainstream actors to step across into the OTT platform and digital streaming. And I give my husband a lot of credit for that. Mahesh Bhupati may be a sports person, but he has vision and he sees it. And he's the guy who told me, take the jump because everyone is going to be jumping onto this bandwagon in less than a year. So you might as well be a pioneer than be somebody who followed, everybody else. And I think for me, so one of the biggest issues I felt existed within Indian cinema and in Bollywood is that for the longest time, the segment or the cohort of women between the ages of 30 and say 50, 55, 60 were just never addressed. They didn't exist. They didn't exist on screen. If they existed on screen, whether it was the small screen through television or on film, they were either the long-suffering mother, so you had to be Mother India, or you had to be the Pativrata wife, or you had to be the woman. You had reduced a woman to having zero, you had just stripped her of all her humanness. If she wasn't the Mamta ki Murti, and if she wasn't the Satyavachan, Sati Savitri, woman, there was no other depiction of women on screen. And I think OTT completely changed that. And for me today, when I'm picking roles, I want to play a woman who's vulnerable, to play, Vasu, for the people who've seen Hiccups and Hookups, a woman in her 40s who gets divorced and has to put herself out there for the very first time again to find love in an environment that's completely changed from the time that she did find Mr. Right. To take on those kind of vulnerabilities, to play, the lady, to play Soumya in 100, who was unapologetically ambitious, to play real women on screen. that may self-sacrifice, may make, put their families first, but also put themselves first. And I think that for me has been the biggest joy of making that jump to OTT, that I'm actually playing characters today that exist and are identifiable, rather than playing characters that are totally irrelevant and impossible to achieve.
And I just wanted to add that even going through different genres, storytelling like documentaries, Elephant Whispers, case in point, is our pride and joy and is a global hit on an OTT.
Correct, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. There's this label, right? Woman filmmaker. मुझे आपसे पूछना था कि I mean the camera is a camera, the lens is the lens, there is no male or female. Is there a difference in being a woman filmmaker, and is there anything which separates a gaze with which a woman filmmaker makes a film to her male counterpart? And because very often we harp about this. And to Lara, I wanted to ask you, being a woman and an outsider in this industry, has your journey been any different, or the paradigm of your journey been any different? And has there been a different rule book or none at all,
See, I was under no misconceptions when I entered the industry that the entertainment industry in India, for the longest time, it's changing now, but for the longest time was largely male-driven.
Absolutely.
The stars made the money. Today we're fighting all these fights for pay, disparity and inclusion and all of that. And I have so much respect and so much admiration for women like Guneet, who have come contemporarily along with me and ahead of me, who've paved the path and made it so much easier for us. Because, we see the Oscar in Guneet's hand, and of course for us it's the most incredible feeling, and we all say it's India's Oscar and, all of that, and we take those little minutes of credit with it, ki, it's, it's India's Oscar. But I'm 100% sure that if we had the time and Guneet would share what her journey has been like to be a female producer. I mean, it is the most difficult thing to raise money in this country to make a film that you believe in, that's not driven by popular sentiment or, is not packaged in a certain way. And it's been hard fought for, Nakuul. Nothing in this industry has come easy. I have a lot of young people who constantly meet me and say, "Ma'am, हमें industry join करना है, हमें actor बनना है, मैं कुछ करना चाहती हूँ." But today there is an incredible opportunity that exists for sure, and there are far more opportunities that exist today that never presented themselves earlier. But it took me really a long time to understand that as a woman in the business, because of the roles being so far and few between, we were so used to clawing each other out of the way to grab whatever little that there was, that it took me a long time to understand that if I took women along with me, I actually ended up creating more opportunities for women in this business than pushing people out of the way. And I'm really proud to today belong to a group or an industry of women who more and more women are doing that. We're creating opportunities for each other. And there's a long way to go, but hey, we need some more really incredible, enterprising young women to come join us. And we promise you that we're making this path a little bit easier than the one that we tread on.
You spoke about taking women together, and I know that Guneet has a collective called Indian Women Rising. What has that journey been, and what have been the sort of shared insights from those?
We're actually learning from the Global Women in Film chapter, and we are very soon going to make announcements and transforming into a bigger global chapter. But the idea is that you shine, I shine, and the stats are really against us. Whatever we've been able to do in our personal feed, take things forward, take charge, make change in our universe, hire more women, raise more money for female-led films, for female directors. But the stats are really, the truth is that the stats are against us. Less than 5% women are directors. Definitely women behind the scene have increased. Yeah. There's definitely safe space. The industry is beautiful to work at. There are amazing production companies to be part of. There is progressive thought process. With all of that, still the change is very slow. So as a producer, I feel what else can I do more to change the stats? In my company, in my universe, the stats are changing. But that is one corner of the country that we are. So yes, a lot to be done. A larger collective is being set up with the Global Organization of Women in Film, with the LA chapter. And I'm talking about it too soon. But we're just getting started, you know. And I'd absolutely agree that we're all companions, we're not competition. We never were. Those were also patriarchy thoughts that we were left with, and we're all born with patriarchy. We're only living and learning feminism as men and women both. You know, two amazing men who support it, and two amazing women who are trying to articulate it, because our first thought is born out of patriarchy, and that acknowledgement is needed. And post that, it's like, what can we do? How can we create more room for conversation, for equality? Because actually the have-nots feel unequal, and it is so difficult to even explain what this means. So films are definitely a medium to start a conversation, but a lot of heavy lifting needs to be done. A lot of amazing companies, and you know, there needs to be an accountability meter, there needs to be awards, there needs to be celebration, there needs to be doubling down. But definitely my motto in life is, when one woman rises, she opens the door for 10 more. We never were a competition. There's enough and more jobs and work for all of us put together, like there are for men.
So wonderful to hear this. I'm also hoping that anyone here who's interested in cinema, arts at some point, can get in touch with this wonderful collective and be part of it, and learn from it, learn with it, and like sort of grow together. I know both of you have started, I mean, we very often talk about Deepika or Anushka or Alia turning producers, but the little research I did, and I know that Guneet produced a first film in 2007, and Lara, you produced I don't think many people know about this, you made your first film in 2011.
2011.
Wow.
We did Chalo Dilli in 2011. Yeah.
Wow, that is, in a lot of ways, trailblazers of our industry, trailblazers of... thank you for showing the way. जाते जाते मैं आपसे एक सवाल पूछना चाहूँगा. I was thinking what if I was sitting in the audience, what is that one thing I'd really like to take away from this conversation today? And you know, we all talk about बम्बई में हसल बहुत होता है, बहुत काम करना पड़ता है, बहुत जुगाड़ करना पड़ता है इस इंडस्ट्री में. मुझे बताइए, if there was one advice you could give yourself when you were starting out on how to navigate this industry, what would it be today? Both of you.
नकुल, नाट्य शास्त्र में भारत मुनि ने कहा है कि आर्ट इज इन सर्च ऑफ ट्रूथ. इंग्लिश में नहीं कहा, उन्होंने हिंदी में कहा था कि कला सत्य की खोज में है. And I think the one piece of advice I would give anyone, regardless of which aspect of filmmaking that you're interested in, is to constantly be in search of the truth and to know your truth. It's very, very easy in this field to be dictated to lose your path, to fall prey to what popular sentiment is, to fall in line with what other people expect you to follow. But it takes a backbone of steel to walk your own path and create that path for others to follow. And I think that as long as you know what your truth is that you stand for, and what that truth that you are in search of, I think that's all you really, really need. That's where you need to start. That's where the seed starts from. Of course, everything follows: hard work, dedication, discipline. It's backbreaking, and consistency. I think that's the most important thing. You just show up. On the day that your film fails at the box office on a Friday, you get up on Saturday and you show up. And that's the most important thing. You just keep moving forward.
Just keep moving forward. Wonderful. I'm going to take that back. Guneet, you?
You know, I feel definitely the power of showing up, the power of asking freely, the power of dreaming. Because if you can dream it, you can be it. I live by a mantra, which I every day say this, almost every second of my breathing, living being is sab acha hoga. Sab acha hai, sab acha hoga. Because it is so reassuring, because we are in such a dynamic world of so many things that can go wrong, and we are, we have very intense shootings, so many things. So, I think there is always faith, and believing that sab acha hoga and you are doing your best is what you can do, and also taking care of your health. Finding that balance, because we give money and work way too much attention, and we kind of lose ourselves in that. And then you turn older and wiser, and you're like, okay, I need to find my balance. But money is always followed. If you अगर जो आप करना चाहते हो, fashion, IS or anything, पूरी शिद्दत से करो, and money, wealth, fame, nothing can be planned. It will always follow. Or as long as you're passionate about what you're doing and you wake up every morning so excited, that for me is definition of success. For me, like I've had to define success for myself, because in my career I've never had 100 crore film, but I'm successful, and I'm very successful, and that is because I wake up every morning inspired. So as long as I can continue waking up every morning inspired, that is being successful for me, and that is enough. And keep your tribe close, keep your people close, double down on people who show faith on you. Some basic rules of life, be honest. It's kind of so beautiful how far honesty takes you, because it shows in your eyes and you can never fake it. It shows in your smile, and being in those really big rooms and meetings, just being honest takes you way further. All the judgment, all the leadership skills, everything one side. But just being honest and saying, this is what I know, this is what I don't know, please tell me. It takes you way ahead in life. So, yes, keep showing up. Please freely ask. Keep creating. Don't overthink. And if you find your passion, double down, triple down on it, and the world will come together. Puri kayana jud jayegi to make it happen. And it does happen.